Welcome to the Denton Vibe with Diva Girl Ellie, powered in part by Classic of Denton.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining us today on the Denton Vibe with Diva Girl Ellie here at dentonradio.com on the square. It is a beautiful, beautiful Tuesday. I hope you guys are enjoying that weather out there. I know the square is packed and there's a lot of activity going on out there, but today in the studio we have the very lovely Courtney Marie, one of my favorite people in Denton. So thank you so much, Courtney, for being here. We're going to talk about everything that you're involved with. We're going to talk about Spiderweb, your book. We have a lot to talk about.
Yes,
so let's go ahead and dive right in. Let's get to it and just tell us who you are as a Dentonite. I know everybody has to know who you are, but just in case there's a little hermit out there.
I have to give the Reader's Digest version.
There you go.
I've lived here for 10 years, and I make art. I'm a writer, and I primarily do that alongside, dabbling in all of the various arts. I play in a band, and obviously the most important thing that we're here to talk about is Spiderweb, and started that with
we're going to talk about the
co-founder Spider Wallace. No. I was going to say Spider Wallace. Connor Wallace, and I started that 6 years ago.
Nice.
And it is a kind of a evolving art project with hundreds of people that have been involved over the last 6 years. And we're celebrating our 6-year anniversary.
When?
This weekend.
Woohoo! Happy
Here's the
birthday.
poster right here. I'm like jumping right into it. I'm like, look at this poster.
This poster was made by Joe Duncan, who happens to be my very first guest on the Denton Vibe.
Really?
Yes.
Joe's amazing.
He is amazing.
And he doesn't live here anymore, which is really sad.
I
But
know,
Joe, if you're watching, hello.
We're going to have to tag him so we can make sure he's watching.
Exactly.
That's amazing. So, okay, let's talk about how you stumbled upon or discovered poetry as a person before Spiderweb.
Yeah. I wrote a lot as a kid, and I remember my first novel was like a Jurassic Park remake. So for a long time, I thought that I wanted to be a novelist or a story writer. And poetry kind of found me naturally in high school when, I was super angsty and going through a lot of things. And I lost it after a while. A lot of tragic things happened that we don't need to go into. But I stopped writing, and I found it again here in Denton. I've always been a book nerd, so it kind of comes along with, like, you read the books, then you want to, like, be able to provide that sense of connectedness, I guess. I find that a lot in writing, as like books are being friends, and I think that poems can also be something that connects people, and I think that's what drew me to it, even though I didn't really realize that was the case until Spiderweb came along, and I realized that, like, if you have an audience, if you have people that support you and are listening to you, there's a lot of power in making art with people. We didn't really know that starting Spiderweb that was going to be one of the, big takeaways. But it definitely has been. And as we've grown as a collective, everything has gotten way more collaborative. And my stuff personally has gotten more collaborative. My first book is with one of my best friends, and we each have our own cover of it.
That's amazing. I really like the flip-flop version of that it's both of you. It's a duality, of a book for both of you.
And we're both kind of community leaders, and we're both constantly trying to bring people together. So it was only natural that the two of us, came together to put a book, because it's really intimidating to put a book out in the world. Even just sending stuff. Like, if you're a writer and you're sending work out, like, I feel you. Like, it is.
It's a process.
Yes.
It is a process of growth. And just like everything else that happens, there's always going to be the no. It's just a part of that process. And I know that sometimes as writers, we're emotional people, and we tend to get, we tend to be like, oh, they said no, but keep writing, and you did.
Definitely.
Obviously. So how did you start up with, I know you said you and Connor Wallace started Spiderweb, correct?
Yep, that is true.
How did that come about? Were y'all just hanging out and saying, you know what, we should get together, we should do this?
It was cabin fever, and just realizing that we weren't meeting our potential with our creativity. For me, it was that I was doing the thing where I was like, I'm a writer, but I wasn't ever really writing. Like I knew that I had that in me and that I wanted to be doing that. But I wasn't, like, physically was not actually writing on a regular basis. And if you're going to call yourself an artist, if you're going to be a writer, like, that's something that you think about constantly, and then turn into action. So like the fact that, you know, I felt like kind of a fraud because I wasn't writing, but I wanted to be. And, you know, Connor had he's a musician and he had all these ideas for projects and things, and maybe not everything fit into the box of, like, you're in a band and you play a show, and, you know, that's what you do. Because we have an amazing music scene here in Denton, but, you know, if people want to, like, experiment with, like, a one-off, like, weird little thing, there's not really a place for that to happen unless you're hitting up open mics and stuff. But we were like, what if we built a community around trying stuff? And, you know, obviously didn't start that way. We had, like, a single show, and then we invited like 10 people who we knew were kind of in the same boat as us. And we were like, you are a good writer. Like, why aren't you writing? Like, you know, you used to play music. Why don't you come play a couple songs for your friends? And salon style, like salon being like, you know, the old school, like people gather under an inspired host, I believe, is the term. And people just get together and they share. And so we did that. And then, like, everybody who came to see the show was like, oh my God, I want to do this. And that turned into, like, the next show. There were like 60 people there. And then there were 100 people there. And then there's like, it was just obviously fulfilling a need that people had. And, you know, for me as a writer, not really having an outlet for a long time, suddenly having an outlet and then also being able to provide some of my friends with that was great. And then, you know, as time goes on, it's just you're constantly making new friends who want the same thing that we all want, which is, you know, to connect and to share. And it's different than, you know, a university setting. It's not academic. It's not competitive. It's not pretentious, which, like, I don't, you know, we're not doing it to be cool. Like, we're just doing it because we love doing it. And I think that it brings about, like, this honesty that is really important.
I was just going to say, I know that with poetry, there's a very, very raw sincerity. It is emotions, it is vulnerability, it is, you know, there's some stuff that I've written that I still don't want to release, you know, out. And I'm sure everybody that does that is experienced that. I'm not ready to put that one out. Or you just go gung-ho and let them all out, you know.
Or you set it on fire.
Right? No, you're not coming out ever.
Nobody will ever see this.
So it is, I can imagine that people going to a Spiderweb show for the first time, and if you guys have ever been to a Spiderweb salon show, it is very addicting. It is very, very nurturing. It is very, it's I want to say eclectic at the same time as very just fun and loving. It's very accepting. So I encourage anybody who gets a chance to go to Spiderweb to go out there, especially to their birthday celebration. That's going to be a big party. Hands down, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be great. But that environment is so nurturing, especially for, you know, when you're a first-time poet and you're coming to see. And at times it could be intimidating to see the seasoned people, but the more you go or the more people you meet, the more encouraging they are. Yeah. And you're like, I have to do this. I have to do this. So I've been to Spiderweb stuff and I really enjoy it. It's really, really a whole wonderful experience, especially the people that work with you. So props to them.
Hey, thank you. I love everybody that I get to work with so much.
You do have,
and it's a really great growing thing that I, you know, looking into the future, it has been difficult lately because it's like, what do we do? but I just got to keep the ball rolling.
But you guys do it. And
Yes.
and it is a challenge to reinvent yourself every time, because you got to, like you said, you feed the need of the audience and whatnot. But the interest is there. And a lot of people would think, and I know Dallas has an active poetry scene. We obviously know people that are very active in the poetry community. But Denton is extremely hungry for poetry, I think. So it's very neat to see people go and get bitten and be like, I really want to perform. And you're like, well, then go do it. Come on.
And just, and Spiderweb is all art forms. So you're not just getting poetry, you're getting the, other end of that spectrum where you have like performance art, you're getting music. And one of my favorite things about Spiderweb is the collaborations that happen.
Yes.
The people that meet each other, and you don't speak the same artistic language, but you're coming together and you're making something amazing. And we have a few of those coming up this weekend, which I'm really, really excited about.
It is. It's like a cohesive purpose, even though, like you said, you're on two different ends of the spectrum. It's a beautiful meshing of arts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and that gives way to people appreciating other art that they may not be exposed to in a norm setting of what they do. So it does bring them out of their comfort zone. So now when they're exposed to that, it's like, well, hey, are y'all going to have artists? Because that was what they did, or are there going to be any bands? Do you need any bands? And everybody's always willing to help out and do stuff. Or can I join your crew?
I would love to see more like multi-medium events in town. I love going to shows and everything, but sometimes I hate doing the same thing over and over and over. I hate it when things go so late.
Oh, I know.
So we all start early, so this will start at 7. It will be a later show though, because I should plug Salty Lady Burlesque, who's going to be performing with us as well that night.
Y'all are going to celebrate, and then you're going to party.
It's gonna be great.
That's awesome.
And I think it's worthy of a celebration. We just got done with another kind of big project, Pleased. I don't know if you came to see that one, but that was one of the more ambitious things that we've ever done, and it was kind of just put a bunch of people in a room and see what kind of production will come out of it, and very theatrical, but everybody kind of being able to have a say in like the direction of where things go, kind of just a devised piece.
That's very cool.
Yeah, so it's exciting.
So, okay, there's so many other things that you guys do that I can remember off the top of my head, because there's so many. Because I always say Spiderweb. So I know you guys work hand in hand with another radio station here in town.
Yes.
So
are we allowed to say their name?
Yes, you can.
Kuzu. I know radios are weird about
We're a friendly station here. So
Kuzu's best.
We do understand that they always put on poetry over there as well. So that's really amazing to be able
Brains
to...
of Paradise is the one to listen to on Monday nights, and Topher, the DJ, is always putting on our stuff, and it's cool because it gives us another medium to kind of reach people in that way, and also something awesome to do for some of our poets. Like come read with us, and you'll be able to share that with everybody. You can stream Kuzu anywhere.
Yes, you can.
So it's awesome.
And that's really neat that the writers get to experience that, because not many people would ever think of putting poetry on a radio. And so it's a very neat process that you guys have going on. And it's really cool that each week there's going to be a different person or whatnot when you feature them. And so it's always fun to see who's going to be popping up next, and share, like, follow, comment, all the good stuff that you do.
All the good stuff.
So I'm trying to think of what else was on the tip of my...
We have a songwriting scholarship.
You do. That is exactly one of the other.
Which is a really cool thing. And that's Shiny Sound Recording Studio here in town. Corbin Childs runs that. And he is an amazing sound master and musician, and all around just great dude. But we get to bring a musician into the studio once a month, and the studio works with them. We've got a few professional musicians who come in, and so they get a full experience of like recording a song in a professional setting.
That is really neat.
And it's really cool. And we're compiling all of those songs, and we'll eventually release them in like I really want to do a vinyl. I'm putting that out in the universe. It's really expensive, but maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at some point, we'll do like a huge release for all of the songs that we do, but right now we put them out once a month, and people get to enjoy them, and some of my favorite songs ever have come out of that, which is awesome.
That's really cool. That is really neat. So what is the feedback that you're getting from the recipients that are coming out of that scholarship? As far as I know, I would be
really good,
excited.
Yeah, and that's something we do, like a follow-up kind of interview that just kind of we get to know like their personal music taste, like where they started as a musician, what it kind of inspires them, and then we ask them just straight up, what was your experience like in the studio? Like, what did you expect? What ended up coming of that? Because a lot of these people haven't done anything like that before, and it's been really very positive feedback, which is awesome.
Neat.
And I would love to do all kinds of projects like that, where it's just like somebody is so talented and so worthy of like attention and being able to have the tools to create. And that's something that like I want to continue to provide to people.
It is a challenge. It is a challenge, especially when you're growing in this arena here with double universities and you're finding your path or you're on your path. And so that's a great opportunity for them. And that's a wonderful, wonderful benefit that you're putting out there for people to benefit from. And that's just another aspect of Spiderweb that you guys, if y'all need to look into, I'm sure.
Yes. Check out our baking blog too.
I was good. That was it. Okay. We
got a lot of projects, you guys.
one of the events we did, or you guys did, for Spiderweb at Andy's bar.
Oh yeah, at Pascal.
At Pascal's. It was a bake sale, which is, you don't usually find a bake sale at a bar, and then mixed in with the poetry for a purpose.
Yes.
And so it was really interesting because Friday made a vegan cupcake, and I'm giving her a shout out because I flipped
I hope she's watching
out
right
over
now.
I flipped out, and I'm not saying that lightly. I flipped out. It was a vegan cupcake. I was expecting to taste cardboard. I'm sorry, I had to plug in her cupcake. It was amazing.
I will tell her if she's not watching.
Yeah, we'll make sure
Hi,
she
Friday.
knows. Anyway, so that was another experience of Spiderweb benefiting the community for a cause. I know everyone here in town has different causes, different purposes,
Truth.
different agendas.
Very true.
But it's always a great opportunity when you get to use your vehicle.
Look, it's Connor Wallace.
Hey, Connor.
Co-founder, what's up?
Co-founder, Connor.
Yeah, so that's another project. And then our online publications also have been a really cool thing that we started this year, that I am super proud of. We have, our struggling volunteer editorial team, but we have been consistent with it, and that is really all I try to do is like when we say something like we're going to do something, like let's just make sure that we do it.
And you guys put it out.
Yeah. And that's been, I think it's brought a lot of us closer together and, just figuring out how to pull these things off and make it happen.
And you guys do. Y'all make it happen. I'm like, oh my gosh. It's and not in a bad way, but it's like a circus because you have 3 rings going on at one time and you're like, how do they do this?
Yes.
How do they do this? But you guys pull it off. You have a great team behind you, supporting you, with you, standing next to you. I can imagine just the to-do list that you have in your head. Because I know that's probably
they're written down.
I've
got books.
I'm pretty sure because you're of the creative nature to begin with, and then you're of that go-getter, attitude, mentality. I mean, you're never not busy. So I know that you've got a lot of future plans. Can you tell us about some of the future plans coming up?
Yes. For me personally or for Spiderweb?
Both.
Okay, there's a lot. Let me think. So I am currently working on a piece for Sundown Collaborative Theater.
Okay.
They do a short works festival every year, and I love their group, and they're just so awesome. I need to plug them. They're also going to be at Spiderweb this weekend doing a preview of that short works festival, which is going to be really cool. But I'm working with George Ferry, who owns Wine Squared.
George is great.
He is an angel, and he's a dancer. So 2 years ago, we did our first collaboration together on a piece called The Fall, and it's really, really sad. It's about a crumbling relationship. And we did this poetry dance fusion piece together.
Wow.
And we're kind of bringing back that same concept this year for the Shortworks Festival, but like way darker.
Nice.
So I'm really looking forward to that. It's been a really hard piece to write. It's about, mental health, and depression and suicidal thoughts. And it's very dark, but, I think it's going to be an important piece, and I'm really excited to perform that with him. And we've been working on that, and I'm really excited. So that's personally a thing that's happening. Obviously this book is actually available on small press distribution starting tomorrow. So if you own a bookstore or go to the library, request it and they'll buy it.
Nice.
It is called Don't Get Your Hopes Up.
Don't Get Your Hopes Up.
Yes. And Moon Woman is the other half. I think you can search it either way. So that is available through the publisher and through small press distribution as of tomorrow officially.
Well, congratulations.
We've all had like life things happen, like the press and me, and like, so we've been getting through the like promotional aspect of it, but I hope to kind of take it on a mini tour at some point this fall and or winter. So that's in the future. And for Spiderweb, we're kind of going to sit down at the end of the year and talk about what we want to do next year, which is really exciting. Last year, we kind of put out a community survey and got people's feedback for what they thought would be something that we needed to fill like a kind of void, in town. So I think we'll kind of do a similar thing this year. And then we have like a real leadership team. Like we are all volunteer, making everything happen all the time.
A lot of people don't realize that.
Yes, and it's a huge team. Like there's no way I could do it without, I would list all of your names, but then I would feel horrible forgetting somebody. So I'm not going to do that. But if you go to the crew page on Spiderweb's website, you will see all of the shining faces of all the amazing people who make Spiderweb happen all the time.
That's awesome.
My family. But so yeah, we're going to get together and talk about what we do now.
Everything.
And we have a few cool collaborations coming up at the end of the year. I talk the end of the year. It's July, but like, the second half of the year, whatever.
We're
the
2
year's
months away
over.
from Halloween, and
Can this year be over now?
I know.
But we have a upcoming collaboration, the White Rock Zine Machine in Dallas.
That's another thing I want to talk about.
We have 12 of our people putting together. Well, there's really like 14 of us kind of all working together. But we're putting together these tiny zines for the baseball card machine at Deep Ellum Books in Dallas. And so you can go and put a quarter in and get a Spiderweb zine that's like really small and compact and awesome. And that's like Lisa Huffaker's. Yes, that's Lisa Huffaker's project, and she's so cool. And I'm kind of just excited that I get the chance to work with her like a little bit more closely. So this project is giving me an excuse to do that.
Yes. Denton rubs elbows a lot with people in Deep Ellum with Deep Ellum Books.
Very true.
Yes, a lot of other people out there that are constantly poetic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is September 1st is going to be the release for that. So that's kind of coming up. That'll be our next thing after this. And then the Denton Zine Fest that Rachel Weaver is putting on, and her crew, we're going to be doing that on September 16th. I'm really excited to just see if we can make something new for that. And we'll at least table and hang out and everything. We have a show in October that I don't know if my people want me talking about it yet. And then there's a show in November that we will be taking kind of submissions for if people want to be a part of it, but it's called Spider Dead, and that's going to be another really like morbid awesome thing. And there's a few other things in the fire, but we're always working on stuff.
And you always have those themes, the fun themes. I know the one that sticks out to me is the angst. You had one full of bring your angst, talk about angst.
If you consider it through like the lens of unifying people over something, like something that we all humanly connect to, like that is such a
universal language. Yes, it is.
Exactly. And whether it's nostalgia, like the 80s prom that we did earlier this year, or like, SpiderCon was pretty great. That got the attention of like KERA and stuff, which was cool.
Very cool.
There's always something.
There's always something. So I really want you to read something today.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. I'll read out of the book.
Whatever you want.
Okay.
I'll leave it open to you because you've got a few things on the table. So.
I do. I have this poem that we worked on together.
We did.
We can save that for last, though. That can be our
wrap it up. Wrap it up.
Okay, I'll do this one. This is sad, but follows the rules of the radio show.
Thank you.
And I have these little cards. Usually I have people to like share them with.
I love them. You can share them with me. I collect these. Did you know that?
You do?
Yes, I collect
Wonderful.
these. I go behind you picking up all your little pieces of paper.
One of my favorite things is when people like send me a photo out of the blue of like these that they have like sitting in their car or like
in fact I have a photo
mirror.
Yeah, I have to send you what I have too.
Please do.
I put them in a little glass bubble jar. They're all in there.
Yes, it makes my day.
Yeah.
It really does. It's something like it's another kind of like tangible thing that poetry doesn't always allow, but like I don't know, that's why
it's a piece. Did you need this back?
The title is "The Soup is Boiling When You Don't Come Home."
There you go.
The phantoms inside the walls keep opening the doors, and I mistake the noise for you. Ears perked, even though the only other sound is a cat snoring in the next room. Here is an endless loop. A piece of fruit on the counter, the neighbor's rooster heckling, water down each drain in the same clockwise circles, the washing and the hanging and the wearing and the washing and the forgetting, the same phrases on every note, the same words on every list. We have grown accustomed to dust and dirt roads. In the kitchen, I gather everything and cut it into small cubes. I put it all into a pot on the stove. There is a carrot, 2 potatoes, an overripe banana, 1 broken spoon, 3 keys, an old love letter, a hairbrush, your shoes, a pile of sand, and a chair. Today I discovered I own only 1 book, but many, many copies. And when you speak, I am hearing the memories of my own ghost.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. And that was The Soup is Boiling When You Don't Come Home.
It's true. It's in this book that you can purchase from me, Courtney Marie.
There you go.
Or online.
So one of the things that I admire about you is your little squares on poetry on the squares. And what made you do this? I know you were talking about not bringing in your faithful typewriter.
I know.
And you do carry that a lot.
I do. It's my emotional support typewriter.
And it's a very pretty typewriter.
Yes. I have a few.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
A couple.
But that's one of the unique things about it is that you put them on little squares, and when you perform, you literally just drop them to the floor, which is very unique, and everybody's like, oh, her little papers are flying. And of course it makes you want to go collect the papers. You know. So what made you do that?
Part of it was anxiety, because I didn't like doing readings where you hold the paper and the paper is shaking, because I'm shaking and I don't look like I know what I'm doing. So part of it was that the first time I did it was for Pegasus Reading Series, which I mean must have been 5-6 years ago now. It was one of the first ones at Sebastian Parama's, one of his projects, and I work with him a lot, and then ended up hosting it years later. But I remember that being like I was like, oh, I got asked to do like a big show, like I'm featuring at a show. That's really cool. So I wanted to make it special, and I wanted to not look like I didn't know what I was doing. So I was just kind of playing around on my typewriter, and I was like, oh, what if I just like typed a line on each poem and just gave them to people? And then I was like, what if I used that as I was writing, and then told people they could take their favorite lines? And I noticed that was something that like people paid attention a little bit more. Yeah. Like kind of shut the room up, because they were like, what is my favorite line? Yeah. And so that was kind of a cool thing. And then as I kind of evolve with it, the act of like letting it go every time is something that is kind of therapeutic for me. Even if I'm reading the same poem I've had to read a million times, like I'm just kind of a process of letting it go, which is what poetry is in a lot of ways, is processing your emotions, and and finding peace with them.
Like you said, letting it go, giving it to the universe, pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's why we're guarded with some.
Yes.
Or burn them.
And it's like kind of like a pseudo tarot thing, is like people will find them randomly. Like I can't keep track. I have a purse full of these. I can't keep track of all of them. People will randomly find them all over town. I know because people have told me, like, I found this card, and it's always like a prophecy of some sort, or they're like, this really meant something. I really needed to hear this today. I really needed to like see that like somebody else was going through something, like, and that's just another really cool kind of byproduct of me just being an anxious person and coming up with.
Well, I think it's very unique, and it's your calling card. Literally, this is your calling card, and you're right. If I found one of these on the floor anywhere in the city, I'd be like, "That's Courtney Marie." Everybody knows that, so it's a very unique touch about you. It's very admirable how you do, and the symbolism that you say is letting it go, and it is very true. So, props to you on that style and that technique. And we have one more, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
We're gonna reveal to the world whatever you want.
I'll read the one that you and I worked on.
And we say collaborative because
it's collaborative because I brought this stack, and I've done this at some shows before, where I take this stack of poem. They're all like one line, and I give them to people and then tell them, like, you have 2 minutes to write your own poem out of these words.
It's very cool.
And so I brought a stack of one of those, and then I gave them to Ellie, and then she put together a poem, and now I'm going to read the poem. So we've just been all kinds of collaborating.
All kinds.
All right. By Courtney Marie and Ellie Gonzalez. There is lipstick on the rim. You don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. You are not here or there. There is a film projected on the wall. There is a rose bush outside in full bloom. Every day the sun tries on a new mood. You watch it through the open window. The room as love. This is the room where we considered what love was. The sun is setting and another day collapses exhausted. Wonder how you got here.
Wow, that's an amazing poem.
Good
I
job.
love it. I
You did
love
it.
it. That was really neat.
Yay.
You guys, this is Courtney Marie. She's so amazing. You are an inspiration to me. Every time I'm around you, there's some sort of contagious energy that makes me want to go home and write.
It's just nervousness.
No. You do so much for the community, you and Spiderweb and your whole team. It's such a beautiful experience. I do encourage everyone to go out there. Now, if people want to get a hold of you or Spiderweb or want to find out about your book or any of the upcoming events, how would they do that?
I think that spiderwebsalon.com is a really good place to start, because we work really hard on our website. Nina deserves a shout out, because the website would not be functioning without her. Like, literally, she like helps pay the bills. So she's like, Courtney, we need to re-up this thing or it's going to go away. But so the website is a great place to check out. We try to keep all our events up to date. We have a workshop coming up this month too that people should know about. Michelle Johnson is doing a figure drawing workshop, and
I saw that.
Yeah, and that's all is at Dan Silverleaf, and she is an incredible artist and a model. So she's going to be putting that on August 18th at Dan's. And that's our happy hour workshop series, which we didn't even talk about, but it's a thing that we do.
Nice.
So anyway, websites, for me, I would say, well, also follow us on Facebook and Instagram, Spiderweb Salon. If you're trying to follow me personally, Instagram is probably the way to go, because social media is kind of the worst, but you know, it's we have to do it. If you want to see pictures of my cats and like the weird art projects I'm working on, that's probably the place to go. For the book, the publisher is Thought Crime Press. And you should be able to like Google it now and find it available places, or at least tomorrow.
And it's
I'll have to check that.
Okay, and it's Don't Get Your Hopes Up by Courtney Marie, and then the flip side is Moon Woman. Fatima Ayan.
Yes, Malika Hersey.
There you go.
Yes, she is amazing as well.
So if somebody wants to participate with Spiderweb,
yeah,
how do they do they reach out to you?
Yes, the best way is to come to a show and like introduce yourself to us. We do get people like sending us stuff as well. We do have a submission thing online. We are running at max capacity and don't always have time to like follow up just
with the
like
emails.
just exchanging email or whatever. So I always tell people like just come to a show, like introduce yourself to us, like interject yourself in there and you're a part of it. Like you're already a part of Spiderweb, you just don't know it. We just have to like, you know,
just
see
keep going back.
Yeah, just come and like that's seriously how most people have gotten involved. It's like, oh, come to a workshop, like come to and if anybody like can't afford to like come to a show or something, like all they have to do is reach out to me and I'll make it work. We would rather people be present than not be able to. Never want to exclude anybody. So
well, that's amazing. And thank you for my flower.
You're welcome.
It was here the whole show, so I appreciate it. I love it, and I will be taking it home to put on my desk next to your little collection of little square poetry squares. So you guys, thank you so much for joining us today here on the Denton Vibe with Diva Girl Ellie with Miss Courtney Marie.
Yay.
And I will see you next week here on DentonRadio.com. You guys have a good one.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out DentonRadio.com for new Denton artists and where they're playing next. While you're surfing the internet, make sure you check out our friends Classic of Denton at ClassicofDenton.com.